Yeah. And then he told Arteta to stay humble. He's lost everything ever since. There's no one there. Lads, banter, birds, beer, boobs. Great weekend if you're an Arsenal fan. 5-2 against West Ham. Liverpool City, win-win. City win, close the gap between us and Liverpool. Liverpool win. We revel in their demise. And we are reveling in it. Oh, it feels good. Schadenfreude. That's a new word for you. Take it away with you. Use it. Schadenfreude. Pleasure derived by someone from someone's misfortune. And we are all schadenfreunding it up at the moment. Hope you're all well, my TM cyclers. Welcome to the first video of December. Hope you are all enjoying your winter arc. I put out a question and answers box on Instagram. Again, if you're not following me on there, it's a little bit weird. I put it on my last. Maybe you all follow me already. Yeah, that's probably it. But TM Cycles on the Instagram. There was a lot of questions, but I like to persistent, this guy. Very persistent, Mr. Fly. I like to pad out questions. So we've got 8 good ones here. Should we begin? Yes, let's. Question number 1 from Trafford Langton. It sounds like a sort of deep sea fish. I'm sure you're not. How to start a personal brand on social media. Trafford, you deep sea fish. A great question. I think people believe that personal branding is logos, fonts, colours. I'd say that makes about 1 or 2% of what personal branding actually is. And we've all been there. You know, you get your PT qualification or any qualification in your industry and you're frantically searching best fonts, best colours, best logo designs. You're investing and spending more time in building that than you are what should be being built. Personal branding is about identifying yourself as well, understanding yourself, and that's forever changing. And it's very important to highlight that change as well. It's about identifying your target audience, building a rapport with your target audience. It's about networking. It's about staying consistent, showing up every single day, usually in the modern day on some form of social media platform. I show up every single day on Instagram and have done for the last God knows how many years through Instagram stories. That's like my thing that I use. So building that personal brand and growth is dependent on you showing up every single day and highlighting your journey and what you're doing within it. So take online coaching as an example. A lot of online coaches will have physique or performance goals as well. So it's important to highlight that. I go against a little bit what James Smith has to say. James Smith says that no one cares, no one really wants to know your journey or about you. I'd say that's wrong. We're all entitled to opinions. They're like ourselves. We've all got one. But the reason why I disagree with that statement is because we're in a world of heavy distrust at the moment. We're questioning all sorts. We don't even question governments and officials anymore. And I think that's drip fed down. We are a nation, a world of constantly asking things, which is good, and challenging the status quo, which I think is a fantastic thing. What comes with that distrust is when you are trying to release a product or a service, if someone doesn't know who that person is that's selling the service or a product, they're not as inclined to buy it. So as an online coach, if you click on an Instagram feed and it's just your client transformation, sure, that's brilliant because we can see that you've had some really good results. But people want to know you. If I'm paying £250 to an online coach, I need to know, is this person in alignment with me? Does he have views? Are we going to get on? I think it's so important to build that and have that rapport with your clients and followers. So personal branding, where do you begin and where do you start? You just start. You are and should not be concerned with the aesthetic. Now that's coming from someone that cares very much about the aesthetic, and I look back at my early content and it probably wasn't as squeaky clean as it is now. I tell you what, it probably was. I'm the sort of guy that will film a half an hour video like this, and if there's a wire in the background, I'm refilming it again. That's just me. I'm very OCD. But what I'm saying is you don't have to have found a formula to begin with. You just need to start creating content. Now, shameless plug, we have the TM Cycles Creator Academy being launched next year, which I'm really excited. It's something that I've been working on for a long time. I've also filmed it. but then I wasn't happy because I felt like I was conforming to what videography or content creation courses expect. So I've essentially redone it, and we're in the process of filming it right now. But we will expand a lot more on personal branding and giving you the tools to create. And that's the beautiful thing about content creation and personal branding. Every single one of us is different. If we have 50 people in this room and I say, here's a camera, everyone, go and film something in London, go and get a piece of content in London, or film this bus coming towards us. All those 50 people are going to have a different interpretation of what they want to put out there. And that's the beauty of it. There's no right or wrong way. Well, the wrong way would be filming not the bus and filming the sea, or having really blurred ISO or aperture or whatever. That may be wrong or not the greatest. But we all have different understandings and kind of appreciation of certain things, which is brilliant. And that's what I love. And that's why it's so important. You must not be, when you are building your personal brand, a sheep, in the sense that you don't want to be directly looking at the top crema of people in your industry and just copying everything they do. And I'd say I'm pretty good at smelling a rat. I think nowadays I can go on Instagram and I can see genuine and not so genuine people. People that try to be funny, people that try to act or have that kind of aura that they've obviously taken from that top percent of people in their industry. And now we're getting deep. Now we're getting a bit Eckhart Tolle. The more that you stay in that space, the more that you switch the camera on and you convey, and we can all do it so very easily now. And that is maybe the downside to social media. We can, if we have an image of what we want people to see, we can really easily create that nowadays. We really can, which I suppose maybe there's some pros and cons to it, but there shouldn't be one person when you turn the camera on and one person when you turn the camera off. Now that's a little bit hypocritical, because when I first started as TM Cycles, I was that person. And then I kind of morphed into this, well, I morphed into my on-screen presence. You know, I had TM Cycles, this kind of McGregor, Pablo Escobar, drug lord wannabe. And then I started acting like that person outside, and I lost myself a little bit. And we'll come on to that because there's a really good question about me as TM Cycles. But when we do talk about copying, there's a couple of really good books if you are looking to build your personal brand. Book number 1 is Still Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. Fantastic. A recommendation from Gigi. Actually, 2 recommendations from Gigi. Gordon Greenhorn, OGs will know, filmed the fabulous 2021 prep series, the FitX. But Austin Kleon, Still Like an Artist. And book number 2, which has been around for a long time, but it's still so relevant, The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. These are stocking fillers, right? That's a nice little stocking filler. Ask your mum, dad, girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever. Get them on the list. So, to answer your question, Trafford, don't become so fixated on the incy, bitsy, prim, proper aesthetic of it. Just start creating, start building rapport, start highlighting what it is that you've got planned. Have you got an Ironman plan? Have you got a bodybuilding show planned? Have you got a plan to get to your 10 first clients? Show that. As an online coach nowadays, show behind the scenes. BTS content is so good. I love it. I really do. I love that fly on the wall type content that Mr. Brightman and his missus have done so very, very well when they filmed his prep. Brilliant. Fantastic. Loved it. So hope you can take a few pointers from building a personal brand on social media. There's a lot more to add into that, there really is. But like I said, I'm going to keep some cards close to my chest, you know. Can't be giving away all my secrets over the last 12 years. Question number 2, Maximus, my ex-client. How are you, sir? Max Heathy, where/how often do you research new knowledge to become a better coach? A brilliant question, Max. And I think a lot of online coaches, and myself included, we start as the student and we gain a lot of traction and we start to peak, and then we hit X amount of client numbers per month, and we start to stack some cheddar, and then we're like, I'm cruising. You know, I'm earning 10K a month as an example. And then the desire to become the student just drops off, and you rely on what you've built, which is a terrible environment and a terrible mindset to be in. I've most certainly been in that mindset before. I can remember my 2021 when we had the member site that was doing extremely well. We had like nearly 4,000 paying customers, $5.99. Gigi was filming for me. I didn't do anything. Like I literally show up to the gym. Gigi would film it. Me, Josh, Joe. He would send me the footage, and I'd click a button and think, that's my day done. And that was taking in a considerable amount of money. And I got extremely, extremely lazy, which is awful. So always be the student. And then how do we be the student? There's so many sources of information that we can sign up to or follow. The Alan Aragon Research Review is, I don't know if it's still going, but that was one of the earliest research reviews that I remember. Me and Luke Johnson used to print out pages of it each month, and there would be studies on supplementation, training, nutrition, and we'd sit there and we'd highlight it, and then we break down the highlights into tweets, and then we tweet, new research on creatine, its impact on cognitive function as an example. So following people is just the best, I'd say. Individuals like Mike Rizzetal, I know people have got a bit of a love-hate relationship with him. Team 3DMJ, Nunez, Revive Stronger, Jeff Nippard. There's so many unique individuals out there. And these things change, right? We've seen emphasis on training and making sure that we stay in the short. And now it's like, actually, quite a lot of research has come out about spending more time in the stretch position. New research has come to light about, we can probably actually get away with a lot more volume than expected. That 10 minimum sets per body part now may go up to like 15, 20 or excess of 30. So it's continually evolving, which is brilliant. It's fantastic. So I'd say recommendations of those people that I've spoken about, and just keeping up to date on socials, or even just utilizing PubMed. You can easily type in on PubMed, again, creatine monohydrate. God, they've doubled, they've tripled. He's had kids this fly. He's put in a shift in this winter arc. My man. But like I said, you can just go on PubMed and then type in creatine and then drop down most recent. I do that for my IBD. So I'm constantly staying up to date with new medication. I'm keeping an eye on medication that is waiting for first trials and then the response of that. Dr. Charlie Lee's, any of my colitis, Crohn's individuals watching this, Dr. Charlie Lee's on YouTube is fantastic, phenomenal, a fountain of knowledge, and he is a source of my knowledge when it comes down to new drugs that are being created for IBD and colitis. So hope that answers your question, Maximus. Hope all is well, sir. Question number 3, Liam Tank 1995. Good to see a 90s baby in the chat. 93 personally. What is your top 5 books that helped you the most? I've got a lot of book related questions. It's hard to condense it into 5. It really is. We've got a couple here. Let's start with the book that I've just finished reading, Psycho-Cybernetics, an absolute game changer. The brief synopsis with Psycho-Cybernetics is essentially faking it until you make it. It's about putting yourself in the mindset of you already achieving that goal. And then you begin to live like that person. And it can work both ways. If you're an individual that's constantly dwelling on the negative, you've set yourself a goal, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get that 10K under 50 minutes, or I'm not going to get that top 3 bodybuilding show. Then you start to live like that individual. You start to lose motivation. You start to skip gym sessions. Whereas if you put yourself in your shoes of already making it, and you've got that championship belt and it's on the line every single day, it's fantastic. Maxwell Maltz. Just a quick one, when I'm reading at the moment, I've done the Audible link up. So I put the Audible on a ×2, and it's just going in so much better. So in go the AirPods, and I listen and read at the same time and then make some notes. Brilliant. Absolutely love that. Hack, if you want to call it a hack. Book number 2, these are in no order, but book number 2, one that I think you need to be in a certain place in your life when you read Power of Now. It's a tough read, and I think it's a read that you can dip in and out of. You don't necessarily need to read it cover to cover, but it's a toughie, but it's a good read. I read it in perfect settings. I read it in Ibiza when I first started to discover mushrooms, and the combination of all of those three things was brilliant. So this is fantastic. Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment. He has a few retreats as well in Greece, I think it is, you can go to. They're a bit spenny. Takes the piss a bit, does Eckhart, but hey, he is the man. Give him a follow on socials as well. What other books do we have? We have 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman. This is brilliant. I like the sort of inner turmoil that it causes, in the sense that I read this and I think, oh, maybe I don't need to be like a productivity whore and waking up at 5 a.m. and jumping the ice bath, or frantically trying to cross off my productivity to-do list. So it's added a little bit of balance into my life, which is fantastic. A really good podcast with him and Chris Williamson as well. He also has another book out called Meditations, which I'm doing at the moment. It's like a chapter a day. So yeah, 4,000 Weeks. It may make you just want to stop everything. You know, you read that, Power of Now, talking about being present, and you just think, what am I doing? What is all this for? What is this microphone for? What is this video for? What am I gaining from that? You know, you start to deep it a little bit too much. Great read. I'd say my favourite book, I think I said it's hit the top spot. Viktor E. Frankl, Holocaust Survivor, Man's Search for Meaning. Oh my God, an incredible read. So it's sort of split into two parts. The first part about his time in the camp, which is just, I mean, it's abhorrent, but it is incredible. Like, I dip into this whenever I wake up and think, no, I can't be bothered to get in the ice bath, or oh, it's so early, I've got to go in the pool's really cold. I think to that and what they had to endure, and I think, right, I'm up, brilliant, heating's on, what on earth have I got to complain about? But incredible. I've also got his other book as well, which my dad got me for my birthday. So yeah, Man's Search for Meaning. Got a couple of others as well. I feel like I had to get some fiction in there. I'd say Normal People as well. Sally Rooney, brilliant read. Silent Patient. Hey, individuals who've read Silent Patient will know. This is a real page turner. You get towards the end, shocking. It really is. It had me gripped. I had 30 pages to go and I was on the train home before. I can't read this on the. I need to give it some respect. I need to run a bath. I need to finish it at home, and I did that. Brilliant. And finally, Mr. Yuval Noah Harari, who has many books out, but Sapiens: A Brief History of Humankind. I mean, what a time to read this book, find out and discover where we all came from. But yeah, brilliant, fantastic. So some recommendations there for you. Christmas is round the corner, so get a few on your list. And obviously, as mentioned as well, The Immutable Laws of Marketing and Still Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. Thank you, Liam, for your question, sir. Elliot Geo, thoughts on Eddie Abbew giving it the big one? A lot of questions on Eddie. Bless him, Eddie. I'm not one of these people that get like super wound up. You've got those academic types that are making out that Eddie's like, he's gonna kill us all. What this man is doing is ripping us apart. There's probably a little bit of jealousy. I mean, he's blown, isn't he? He's hit the millions now, bit of stardom. But I think we can all agree Eddie's message is a good one. You know, essentially he's promoting whole foods, minimizing, getting rid of ultra processed food completely. Some of what he says is factually incorrect. His stance on fat loss or weight loss being a hormonal and not a calories in versus calories out. So you're sort of defying basic laws of thermodynamics there, Eddie. But look, if he manages to create and influence a lot of people to lose some body fat, then brilliant, fantastic. It's better than certain fitness coaches that are on Instagram at the moment with master's degrees in nutrition saying that Ozempic's all good. So I suppose I lean toward more Eddie on that side of things. But yeah, he understands the game, as we all do. Yeah, I think the thing with Eddie is that he's rose to fame, and then he is now thought, I need to continue being inflammatory because it gets the views and it gets the engagement. You know, you've got to play the game a little bit. But listen, look, the message is a good one. He's essentially promoting, or I feel like there was a little bit of a turning point. There was a a part of Eddie that I initially disliked, and then I started to warm to him, and then he just went like super crazy. So, you know, going into supermarkets and picking up sweets and chocolate for Halloween and Christmas and saying it's a load of bollocks is like, well, but it's Halloween, mate. Like, even if you are someone that only has sweets and chocolate a few times a year, your birthday, Christmas and sort of Halloween, then it's not going to kill you. So, yeah, I think that the message that Eddie is trying to promote is a good one. It's certainly causing a lot of people to look inward a little bit and clean up their diet, which can only be a positive. But certain things like saying, you know, fruit's going to make you fat and calories don't matter. I think he did an Instagram post the other day and said, you know, you can eat. He chose some food and said it's all good food. You can eat as much of this as you want. It's like, well, it's not the case. If I have 5,000 calories of avocados, peanut butter, salmons and steaks, I'm going to get fat because I'm in a calorie surplus. It's all about energy balance, thermodynamics. So that's my views on Eddie. Ed. Question, what's this? I lost count. It's just a question. Donny Yira. Is that Spanish? Espanol? Best tip for balancing ambitious career and physical goals? A great question. I think when you do, we find, we often notice it as bodybuilders, right? When we go through contest preps, there's almost a demand to achieve more. And when we feel that from our physique or performance related, that tends to drip feed into your business goals. I think it's unrealistic, and I'm touching on this in my next YouTube video. I think it's unrealistic to stay up here at all times. This kind of relentless Gary V, 5 a.m. club approach every single day, 365. Obviously, Goggins would disagree, but that's Goggins. We aren't really all Goggins. Great podcast with him and Andrew Huberman, by the way. I listen to that probably once every few months. Brilliant, incredible. But I think if you sync your performance or physique related goals with your business, you can get a lot out of it. And then you can go through these periods whereby you do take a back seat a little bit. I mean, we reference me kind of riding on my success over the last, since 2012 to 2021. And I looked at that as a negative, but then someone pulled me up and said, well, Tom, like, you've been working for like the last 8 years, mate. It's all good. You can just enjoy it. So I was like, oh, okay. So I think it's important to go through these patches whereby you are relentless. You know, I'm kind of entering my relentless phase now. I've got Grace Beverley's productivity book, which is brilliant. I had to get it on eBay because she sold out. But I need to be aware. I need to be aware of this time. So it cuts out at 30 minutes. If you see a cut, my apologies, we'll jump back in. But I think if you sync your career-driven goals and your physique development or performance development goals together, I think that works really well. I'm not too sold on this word balance. I think if you really want to be someone, achieve something, you can't do it with balance. I think like if you really want to be that bodybuilder, that online coach, that 10K a month, it has to tip in favor of being unbalanced. And I've been very unbalanced in my life, and that has come at a cost of relationships, breakdown in friendships and family, and a breakdown in my own mental health and physical health as well. But there's an element of me looking at that and thinking, well, it's sort of worth it because I am where I am today. You know, you could say the same for like Ronnie Coleman. You know, he's battered and bruised now, isn't he, in wheelchairs? But you look back and look at his success and think, you know, was it worth it? We can all have an opinion on that. But in terms of balancing your career and physical goals within the given day, it has to be a little bit unbalanced. You know, if you are someone that is hell-bent on achieving fame on social media or a certain amount of money in the bank, which are just arbitrary figures probably in a lot of people's mind, I think it does need to be slightly unbalanced. You know, if there's a requirement for you to work hard from like 9 a.m. in the morning till like 7 p.m. at night, you're gonna have to make your physique development goals fit around that. You have to get up early, train hard, train in the morning, train your lunch break, train after work, really prioritize your sleep. You know, I did a video up here that kind of incorporated what I'd recommend for your physique and performance goals during this winter period. So hope that's answered your question, Donnie. Next question. This is a big one. This is probably my most frequently asked question on this Instagram Q&A. Actually, it's a sort of personal question. Maybe I won't say his name, this one. Just going through a big breakup, how did you manage to find the light at the end of the tunnel? A great question. And as I said, most certainly a frequently asked question aside from just my Instagram Q&A. And I think where I've been quite vocal about my relationships in the past, people can use me or feel like they can use me, which is absolutely fine. So as you know, OG followers on the channel will know I had my partner, a long-term partner, for about 7-8 years, and we split up in 2021. And if I'm being brutally honest, I don't think you truly get over your long-term partner until you find someone else. I think you just manage being alone a lot better. But it's important during that time to look back and to grow. I don't think I would have been able to grow into the man that, and this is no disrespect to my previous partner, my God. But I think there's elements of who I've become today that I don't think I'd have been able to do in a very stable, kind of homely environment. I think there needed to be periods of just at the bottom of the barrel, and there were. Like, I look at that 2021 prep, I was down and out. I really was. I was getting to the end of the day at like 7 p.m. and just sitting there on the sofa thinking, what on earth have I done today? Like, I'm absolutely... that feeling of a post-breakup is horrible. And obviously my best mate and housemate, Josh, has gone through that. We both know what that feeling is, like that dense feeling in your stomach, that grey cloud. Is awful. You know, it's like mourning someone that's still alive. You know, you're like trying to get over this person, but they're still out there. And they're still on Instagram, and I'm looking at their stories and like, where are they? Is that 2 glasses? Is that a beer glass? She's on a date. Bastard. So get rid completely. It happened. There's a reason as to why you're in the position that you're in. And that may have been because you've both grown apart. And I'd say maybe that's what happened between me and my previous partner as well. You know, we maybe grew apart. And that's absolutely fine as well. Like, it's a bit of a stubbornness and an ego thing. You know, if maybe individuals are unfaithful in relationships, then they try as best as possible to then make everything good. And there's reasons as to why those actions occur, and there's reasons as to why you broke up, and you just have to accept it. And that's absolutely fine. I think also accepting that the other individual doesn't want you. If you're on the receiving end of a breakup, you just have to accept it. You know, we tried to get back together and it wasn't quite working. And I thought, I've turned into sort of the person that you wanted when we were together, and it's not enough. And then that sort of ego inside me was like, well, I've got to do more of it. I've got to be more of this person. Then you start thinking, well, I'm turning myself into someone that I'm not. Why am I doing this? So it's perfectly acceptable for these things to happen, mate. But I'd say out of sight, out of mind. You know, don't do the whole still following each other on Instagram or WhatsApp and stuff like that. I'd say total block out. Because that's also a good opportunity for you to experience how you're feeling. Because you might do that and think, actually, that was the really bad decision. Is she feeling like that as well? And then maybe later down the line, you can rekindle something, which happens to a lot of couples. But what else is there? There's also like an element of faking it until you make it, you know? Like, just, you're broken up, you're feeling like shit, but you just got to think, I'm all right, you know? I'm single now, I can start going out, I can start doing what I wanted to do, maybe in a relationship that I couldn't quite do, if that's your thing. But I would say before all that happens, do look inward, you know, dissect yourself a little bit, look back on your previous relationship, a bit of deep self-analysis, you know, what went wrong, and learn from it as well. That's what I did. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself in that breakup. You know, I've been in relationships from a very early age, from kind of like 16, 17 up until like 19, 20. Then I went to a long term. So I look back at that time from like 16 to 28, I think it was. And I was like, I've been with someone. I need to actually experience life on my own. I need to go on holidays on my own. I need to start speaking to different people, trying, you know, all these different things. So there's a lot that can be, I know you're feeling absolutely awful right now, and I know what it feels like, but there are positives in that as well. I'm going to stop the video now, and then we can go into the next one, so I ain't got to get a horrible cut in, all right? Excuse me. I'm stopping in the new year. A bit more. Oh, it's good, isn't it? Got me in a choke with these things. IVG, new one. I mean, it's got better. The version 1, not that great. Wasn't on about the version 1. We're getting deep into vapes here. IVG. You used to have to match. You used to have to get the stuff out of the packet and put it in and match the thing. Now, see-through. So you just dunk the 4 in, yeah? Don't have to turn the top, it just rotates. Yeah, don't do it though. Don't get addicted. Nicotine is it's an addictive substance. I used to smoke when I was a kid, stopped, and now I'm addicted to the vape. I've got an addictive personality, if you haven't guessed. On to the last couple of questions. Ross McLaren, good name. Ross McLaren, probably from the Highlands or something. look at him. Look at him sitting there. I don't know where he is. He's just on top of it looks like he's in New York, owning it, Ross. Good lad. Tips on how to stay disciplined during colder, darker months. A great question. I think I cover a little bit this on that video that I did, the Winter Rock video. I think setting smaller goals during the winter is important. You need to be in a position whereby you're getting quite a frequent dopamine hit, and we often get that dopamine hit through tick boxing. So throughout the day, in the summer, I tend to have like a more of a broader approach to like my goals because I'm just enjoying life in the summer. But in the winter, I will write out on my productivity list or things to do a lot more things. And as I'm getting through that, I get that rush of like, brilliant, I'm getting through that today, which kind of goes against what Mr. Bertman's saying, but hey ho. But yeah, I'd say create smaller micro goals with the intent to obviously achieve your larger goal maybe in the early portion of next year. I'd also say stay on top of routine. I think routine is extremely important in the winter. When we are comfortable, we have a larger level of procrastination. You know, we wake up in the morning, you know, you're standing there like this, you're waiting for the kettle to boil, you're like, I've got to do my electrolytes, I can't be bothered, I'm not going to the gym. So making sure that you're prepared. So last night, Sunday as an example, house is cleaned, gym clothes and my swimming kit are out, electrolytes are out, my watch, my keys, everything is done. So when I wake up, and then the heating as well, make sure that, you know, I wake up at 5:30, heating comes on at about 5. By the time I get up, the house is warm, brilliant. And that's not very Goggins of me, but stay hard. But yeah, making sure that you get that preparation done is so key, because otherwise you are going to be twiddling your thumbs and you are going to be putting that training session later on in the day, or you're going to be putting those client check-ins at the back because you want to stay in bed. I'm very regimented in winter. I'm regimented in both, in summer and winter, but I'd say winter more so because I need to be, you know, having those realistic goal expectations of next year, and reminding yourself as well, you know, a lot of people each summer may not be happy with their body because they haven't put the work in during those winter months. So remind yourself, you know, get that why. What is your why? Get that why written on the fridge every morning. That's my why. Okay. So I hope that answers your question, Ross. And then finally, Cal Curry, have you felt a need to shake off the TM Cycles tag and re-identify yourself? Absolutely not, Cal. Never in a million years, my friend. I will never get rid of TM Cycles. And that kind of takes us back to that first question. TM Cycles is forever evolving. I might sit here in a couple of years' time and be a totally different individual, and that is development, that is growth. It really is. So there's at no point have I felt, there's been a couple of occasions maybe where I'm not getting as much traction. You know, I stopped bodybuilding and then started doing more functional content and didn't get the response that I was after. That's just impatience. And I thought about creating a separate YouTube channel because a lot of my content in the past has been demonetized and I've been flagged and I've had videos deleted and I've had strikes. So are YouTube less inclined to pump me out onto the algorithm potentially? But I like that. I like that element of like things going against me, so I have to work a little bit harder. So no, I've never felt a need to shake off TM Cycles. I want people to be able to look back at what I was like in 2012, in 2020, in 2021. I think it's important, and again, it feeds into that personal branding. If I look back at TM Cycles and think, oh, he's a cringe, this bloke, and I'm just going to stop the camera and create a whole new identity, I've lost all that progression. I've lost all of that data, and that most certainly isn't going anywhere. You know, it's important that we can look back. I think there needs to be, when we look at content creation as well, I've said this before. If you look at your content years ago and cringe, you should, because that also allows you to highlight your progression. Because if you didn't and you just cruised, it's not ideal. There needs to be a level of like, oh, I can't believe I said that, or I can't believe I filmed that, or I thought that shot was good, or that music went, and that's cool. You know, it's a bit like fashion. We all go through different. Look at me now. Look at the clothes that I wear now compared to my D-squared skinny jeans and Balenciaga era. Big change, and I think that's cool. That's nice to look back. I do it a lot. I look back at like my 2018 self. I look back at my 2020, my off-season phase, and I think, God, like it's crazy to see like how far we've come and what we've put our body through. There should be no shame. Never any shame. Never any shame. There's a reason why you said that current time. Belief system. We should challenge our previous belief systems, and having a data collection of what we used to act like is important because we can challenge that. Right. There we go. 2024 only YouTube Q&A wrapped up. We should do more. I fancy doing some live streams. Not like Call of Duty, but just like a live stream where we can just all chat and that. Maybe we'll do that in the new year at some point. Okay, I'm going to love you and leave you. Hope you managed to take a few pointers from this. Appreciate the questions as always. Enjoy your Monday evening. Thank you, good night, and much love.